those as well. They'll all be posted on the website as well. So here we go. Today we're going to talk about eForms. And eForms is a new module from Perennial Software. And let me advance my slide. So let's just start off with real quick. I'm going to do a quick PowerPoint presentation, then we're going to jump into the application. The application has been released, so it's out there, it's in production, it's ready to use. So when we're done, hopefully you like it, and you can literally sign up right away. We could get you going in a matter of a day or two. So what is eForms? First off, it's part of our new Sedona One platform. Sedona One is our new platform of web-based applications. We have 3 applications that live in the Sedona One world. It's eForms, which we're going to talk about today, our time and attendance module, and the accounting module, which is really Alarm Biller. Now, eForms, or if you're a SedonaOffice customer, which most of the people on today's call probably are, eForms and time and attendance also fully interface and work with SedonaOffice, and we're going to go through that in more detail today. So real quick, what is an eForm? An eForm is an electronic document that is intended to be used in an electronic format or in a printed output. A document can be generated, requires a computer or electronic device to recreate it or process it. This is what I'm talking about is the actual definition of an eForm. And an eForm document can also be electronically saved and reproduced in its original format. Now, with a eForm becomes an e-signature. An e-signature is an electronic signature captured via an electronic device. An example would be a computer, a tablet, an iPhone, or any type of electronic device, really right now that has internet access. And the e-signature can actually either be a type font or it could be a captured signature, via electronic device, whether it's a mouse pad, a tablet, or so on. Now, when you take those two together, you can then create what's called a digital signature. And a digital signature is just the digital signature links the e-signature to the eForm. So it's a means to be able to prove that e-signature belongs to that eForm. The digital signature meets strict standards to ensure that the e-signature is authentic. And there are federal electronic signing laws. The digital signature is also required to make the e-signature legally binding with that eForm. And our eForms module does all of this. So what makes an eForm binding? There are 4 main areas that are legally required to make an eForm an electronically binding form. One is there has to be an intent to sign. This is like any agreement, whether you do a paper agreement or you do an electronic agreement, the signer must have an intent to sign that form. Number 2, they must give consent to sign the form electronically. And when we go through this, you'll see that anytime a signer goes to sign it, there is a consent form that they must fill out or actually agree to in order to bind that signature. The third, there are 2 different federal regulations. There's the e-Sign Act and what's called the UETA. And as long as the signature and what you're doing meets those criterias, and you have a digital certified that you could reproduce, you could prove that that was an electronically signed agreement. The 4th criteria, the eForm with the digital signature certificate must be capable of retention and accurate reproduction. So it's more than just saving the document, which you could do, but you'd have to have a paper trail, but you can also accurately reproduce it, so therefore you can save it electronically as well. Everything we're going to do, and I'm going to show you, has the eForms that are done within our module will be legally binding agreements under these criteria. Now, there's another feature that some companies are required to have, and that's vaulting of their eForm. And vaulting is a storage of the completed eForm in a secure and protected electronic environment. Ability to authenticate the eForm in its original state, including all digital certificates, and a means for a third party to have access and authority of the eForms. So typically vaulting is used for collateral documents. So if you have a banking situation and they want to have a collateral of your contracts, the vaulting is a service that can be used to do that. So the question comes in, are all eForms vaulted? The answer is no. Vaulting is a separate service and is generally only needed if you are required to vault your contracts for the collateral purposes. And if so, a third-party agreement is necessary. It would be a third-party agreement between us, between you, and whoever is the collaterally, or requires you to collateralize your contracts. It's a third-party agreement giving them full access to your vaulted documents. We can provide vaulting services. This is an additional fee, and if you are interested in that, just let us know afterwards. But the standard product doesn't include the vaulting services. Now, with that said, are your eForms safe and secure? Yes. All eForms, even if you're not using the vaulting services, are digitally secure and all the data is encrypted. Therefore, unless you're using our eForm system, the document is of no use to anybody else. Only authorized users will have access to the eForms. And very important is this last bullet: completed eForms can never be deleted. Once the eForm is created, it is retained forever. So it is never purged, never deleted from the eForms application. Now, we've also fully interfaced eForms to Sedona Docs. So when an eForm is created, you'll really have two options. One is what's called an auto move. If you choose the auto move feature, when the eForm is completed, it will automatically move it to Sedona Docs. And if the document is a customer doc, it will move it to a customer. If it's a site, it goes to site. If it's a system, it goes to the system. It does it automatically. The other option is to manually do it. So if you don't want it to automatically move to Sedona Docs, it won't. It manually moves. All documents, when they move from eForms to Sedona Docs, the security level is set to level 2. So it's not a level 1, it's a level 2 document by default. And remember, Sedona Docs is required. So you can only use this feature if you have Sedona Docs. Now, in order for the eForm to talk to SedonaOffice, you are required to have the Sedona API. The Sedona API is the mechanism that allows third-party applications to be used with SedonaOffice. And those include the eForms as well as the time and attendance. We do have because a lot of our users only wanted to use the API for eForms and/or time and attendance, we now have a limited edition, a limited functionality version of the Sedona API. If you get this, it will work. It's the full API, but it will only work with eForms and/or time and attendance. It's a one-time fee of $1,500. The monthly fee is cut in half to $100. And for right now, the first 3 months are no charge as long as you purchase it by April 30th. So that's available to you if you're going to interface it. And we really reduce the rate and to make it very affordable for both eForms and time and attendance. So let's just talk a little bit about the features and functionality of eForms. We're going to jump into a demonstration in just a moment. So eForms is a form creation, management, and distribution system. You can create the forms and you could save them within the eForm application. They're called form templates. You could have as many templates as you want. Templates could be created one of two ways. One is what's called a PDF overlay. So what you do is you actually have a PDF file that's been previously saved, and you just import that, and that becomes the PDF overlay. The second is using what's called the WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG is what you see is what you get. And you're basically starting with like a blank document, and then you build your template in any way you want. The eForms module can be used standalone. You do not need to have it integrated with SedonaOffice, or if you have the Sedona API, you can integrate it with SedonaOffice. And I will show you with how the integration works, both when you're creating documents as well as when you're saving the document. You can use the eForms to deliver any kind of document that you could think of. There is really no limitation, but it could be a proposal, a contract, an auto pay form, a security certificate, a call list collection, a change, anything that you think about that you need the customer to look at and to view and to sign and to collect data, you can use the eForms module. So part of it is a complete data collection utility. It also has workflow management into it, so you can manage the workflow of how the document needs to be distributed to the customer. So here's kind of the process, very simple on how eForms works. So looking at this screen from left to right, the first thing you'll do is you'll create a template using either a PDF or the WYSIWYG editor. When you're ready, you'll send the template. You'll capture the signature and any data, and then you receive the completed eForms back. If you're using SedonaOffice, you can merge data into that document, that template, from SedonaOffice directly. So any customer information, site information, system information, that is already mapped. We will be adding the sales management, the prospect to it, and eventually we'll also add service ticket and work order to it as well. So here you can merge the data in, and then when the document's completed, it will push it back to SedonaOffice right into Sedona Docs. We will also have the ability that you can even update data through a document and push that data directly into Sedona Docs as well, into SedonaOffice, excuse me. So I'm just going to show you a screenshot, and I'll go into the application in just a moment. This is what the WYSIWYG editor looks like. With the WYSIWYG editor, you build your own form from scratch. And here you could see a form that has shared data, customer data. It has a header. It has the body of the text, and then you can see on the bottom it has signature boxes. That's using what's called the WYSIWYG editor, and you build it from scratch in this case. There's another way to do it, and that's called the PDF overlay. So with the PDF, here you can see what I did is I created a certificate of installation, and then what I did is I merged certain fields into that form. But I didn't create the actual form in the WYSIWYG editor. That was created in a PDF. And those are just the two ways to do it, and you'll see that in just a moment as we go through it. So here's a sample of kind of what it would look like once the data was merged into it. And I'll show you this in just a second. Okay. Completed forms, you can view the completed form as a PDF. So here's just a sample e-check auto payment form. It automatically emails customers completed copies of their signed forms as well. So once the process is completed, they will get a signed copy as a PDF, as a PDF attachment to the email once it's all completed. Okay, so before we go into the demonstration, just want to go through the pricing. The pricing for eForms, very simple. It's $25 per month per user. So whether you have, and remember, it's not one-to-one to your SedonaOffice users. You could have 2 users using the system. You could have 20 users using the system. Everyone who uses it, who has a login, who can access eForms, would be $25 per month. There are no other charges. There's no limitation on the number of forms they can create, on the signatures they can create. It's just a one-time fee per month per user. That's it. We try to make it as simple as possible. So if you are interested in this, you might want to take a screenshot of this or just write this down. Just give us a call and speak to Justin DeBadges, and he can get you going and set you up with a demo version where you could try it for 30 days and then go on. So I'm going to ask one quick poll question before we go into the demo. So you should have a poll question that just came up. It basically says, do you currently use a signature capture application? So just saying yes or no here. If you use any type of document, electronic document where you send the documents to customers, whether it's for contracts or anything else, just answer that so we can kind of see where we're at. So it looks like right now it's just a little over 50% yes. Give it 5 more seconds to vote. And let's move on. Okay. So I am going to shut this down. And we're now going to go into the eForms application itself. So eForms is a web-based application. You will actually have your own domain name. I'm actually logged into our test environment, but you'll log in through the web. Nothing to install or load on your computer. You can use this on your iPhone, your tablet, your computer. It works on all devices. Probably a little hard to design documents on your iPhone, but not a problem at all to capture signatures when you send it to a customer. It will be branded with your logo, so you do your own branding, and you just click login when you're ready to log in. So here I'm now into the eForms application. And again, if you have any questions as we go along the way, please answer, put them down in the question box, and I'll get to those. So real quick, a little house cleaning before I jump into how to create one. And by the way, there's complete user level security in here. So if you're just a general user, you would only have access to your forms. If you are a manager, you would see not only your forms, but also the forms of anybody who you are assigned to manage. And if you're an administrator, you would have access to everybody's forms by default. Now, my home screen is broken down into 2 main working areas. The top is my active forms. Active forms are forms that I have sent to a customer, and I'm waiting to receive them back. Completed forms are any forms that I have completed, and they are finished. Now, when a form is completed, it will be in your completed forms, but not to make this go on forever, you can do what's called is archive that. And that's just clicking this button right over here to the right, on the right side, the archive button. So if I take this button test and I archive it, it just archived that form. Now, if I wanted to see that, I click on my show archived, and this is every form that I've ever archived. So they'll be in here forever. And you notice I have 42 forms that I have created throughout time. And if I wanted to view the form, I could just click on the PDF button to view it. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Okay. If you are a manager and you just wanted to see your forms instead of everybody's forms, you just click the show my forms. Since I'm the only user, I see both. Okay. That's your first section. The second section is templates. So let's click on that. The templates, this is where we create all the different forms that we want to deliver to a customer. So you might have 10, 20, 50. Just depends on how many template forms that you want to send out to a customer. So if you wanted to create a new template, you simply come over here and you say add a template. And I'm just going to call this one a test one, and I could give it a description. This is a contract for a new sale. You could tell it a type, it's a sales contract. You can also say, what's the integration? Now, this will only show SedonaOffice if you're a SedonaOffice customer, because my system is linked to both SedonaOffice and Alarm Biller. I could see both. You won't see Alarm Biller if you're a SedonaOffice customer. It does not have to be linked though. I could create a form that is not linked to SedonaOffice. But let's just say that this one, I want to create a link to SedonaOffice. So since I said SedonaOffice, said, okay, but where is it linked at SedonaOffice? Is it linked at the customer, site, or system level? And like I said before, we'll be adding prospect, work order, and system as well. So I'm just going to say that this one's linked at the customer level. If I wanted to upload a PDF, I can do that. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to click update, and it brings me into the designer mode. Because I did not upload a PDF, it knows to use the WYSIWYG designer. So here is a blank form. So what I can start doing is I could just start adding things to this form. So for example, if I wanted to add a picture to it, I just drag a picture box onto the form. I can upload a form, or I could say use previous, which I'll do right now. So I'm just going to pick this logo, and I want to make it a little bit bigger, and I can move it around. And if I wanted to add a field to here, so this is my shared data. And remember, it's linked at the customer level. So if I click on here, here's all the customer data. This is customer level data. If I said site, I would have seen customer and then site. If I would have said system, I would see customer, site, and system. And I could take any of these data fields. So let's just go over here, and let's just take the name, and I could drag it right into the field. And I could take address and put that there, and I could put city, and you get the idea behind this. I'm not going to design a big form all at once right here, but maybe now I want to put the text in this box and have text go in here. So I could just put a text box right here, and I can make it bigger, and I'll click edit text. And this is where I could come in here and just edit any and put whatever I want to appear within this box. And you notice, it's just gonna, whatever I type in here, I could change the fonts. So if I want this font area right here to be bold, but really big, I can do that. You could add color, graphics, hyperlinks to this. You can also, right within the text box, I can add any of that merged data. So I can actually put in here, let's say I wanted to, for example, put in your balance due. Well, there's their balance due. And I could say your balance due is, okay? And I just merge that data right into it, okay? So you can see how you can merge fields into this. And then let's just say for this real quick, for whatever this document might be, I want to add a signature box. So I'll take the signature here and I'll drag it right over here on this form. And I could resize it. And you notice because it's a signature box, I could turn around and I could say, show the X. I could turn that off. I could change the agree to by and say, sign here. Whatever I want to do, I don't have to put anything within there. So let's just say that that's my document. Very good. I'll click save, and I'll come back to my available forms. Now, at this point, if I want to send that form to a customer, all I would do is I would click the send template button, and I would say, who's this going to go to? So I'm just going to say it's going to Michael Marks, and it's a sales agreement, whatever I want to label it. I can also put a different description in here. And then here I could type in which one I want to use. That was test 1. And because it's test 1, it knows it goes to a customer, so it says select the customer. So you could pick the customer from SedonaOffice. And this has an intelligent lookup. So as I type, it's going to automatically fill in Sometimes it has to wake up the API. So give it a second. And then it will fill in the customer for me. I should have woken up the API before the demo. It could take about 15, 20 seconds. And usually it has to do that once every day to wake that up. But once you use the API once, it will be good. So there it is. So for example, if I come back over here, and if I just started typing Michael, it's going to find anything with MI in it, MIC, there it is. I could also look up by customer number as well. So I click save there, and now what it does is it brings me to my delivery system. So once you tell it to send it and you pick the document you want, now it comes to where I'm going to send it. So the first thing up here, because it knows through the setup that I'm using Sedona Docs, push document, which is checked yes, because that's my default setting. That will automatically, when this document's created, push this document to Sedona Docs. I'm going to turn that off because for this document, I want to manually do it. The first thing is the stages. The stages are where this document is going to be delivered to. So here I have is stage 1, the subject's the Michael Marks sales agreement. It automatically put in Michael Marks' email address. Why? Because it's linked to a customer. Customers have emails, and if it does, it will automatically do that. And then here's the name of the customer. I'm just going to change it to Michael Marks instead of Marks Michael. Now, once I create my stage, I have to assign who has to do this. So I'm going to click on the assign button. And you'll notice what it does is it brings up my document. I'm going to click Michael Marks, and I'm just going to click Michael has to sign right there. Now, if I had other fields that were editable fields here, I could assign that. I can also click assign all. So, but I just have that one document there. So I click save. And now that I've actually assigned everything, I can now send this to the customer. So you'll notice that right here is an email. This is the body of the text of the email that's going to go to the customer. And so if I want to, I could actually write additional information right within here. You can also, if you have multiple stages, you can override the email for each stage as well. So if everything looks good, I'm ready to send that to the customer. I just click send, and now this document is sent to the customer. You'll notice the document is, the stage is blue. Blue means sent. If for some reason I sent it to the wrong email address, I could come in here, fix the email address, and click resend. Everything we're doing in the document is also being stored in the history file. So the history file will track everything we've been doing, even anything a customer does when they get this. Now, at this point, the customer will get an email, and here is, I'm just going to drag it from my other screen. Here is the email that I received as kind of the customer. And again, it will have your branding on here, and it will say, Michael Marks sent you a document to review and sign. And then here's all of my text that I put in here. And then all I have to do here is click review document. When I click review document, it will open up this document in a browser for me to sign. You can also, instead of doing that, if you were right with the customer, you could click the sign button right here, and this takes it right to the sign mode. So I'm just going to do that, and it brings me to my signing page. First thing you'll notice when the customer clicks on the signing page is they will have to terms and accept below to continue. So these are the signature terms. These are defaulted signature terms. It will be automatically merged in with your company name. In my database, my company name is just my initials. We are adding a new feature where you can override this default signature page and add your own signature page, your own terms and conditions. So for those who use Ken Kirschenbaum, he actually has his own terms and conditions he likes his clients to use. So then you'll click accept, the client clicks accept, and then it brings them to the document. So here's my document. There's my mail merged fields. You notice they're automatically mail merged in here. So I didn't have to type in the customer information. It's automatically there. I must not have a balance due because it's not coming up. And then all the customer has to do is click here to sign it. They can also click underneath the task and it will bring down the arrow. So I'll click to sign it. I can use a font if I choose that. And I have different font options. So if I don't like that one, I want to use that one. So if I click accept, it would drop in that signature. Or if I want to draw it, I just come over here and there's my messy signature with my mouse, hard to do. And then it would use that signature. Now, you'll notice, I didn't show you before, but this accept button was not illuminated until such time as I've completed everything that needs to be done. If for some reason I got this and there was other fields in here, I could click Save Progress. So if I come back in there, it would save it as the user. I can reject it or I can accept it. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept it. It says, are you sure you want to complete the document? Now, before I do that, I'm going to go back into the main application. I'm going to go to the home page and show you that document is right over here, that Michael Marks sales agreement. It's in my active forms. So I'm going to come back over here. I am now going to finalize it. Final, it will automatically email the customer the completed form, as well as whoever created the form. We'll get an email letting them know that it's been taken care of. I'm just going to close this page and come back over here. I'll refresh this page. You'll notice my document is no longer in my active form. It's down here in my completed forms. So if I wanted to look at that document, all I do is I click the PDF button and it will open up the document as a PDF. And there's my completed document with the customer signature. If I want to, because I told it not to automatically send to SedonaOffice, there's a little icon right here. This will send it to SedonaOffice. All I have to do is click that and generating and pushing PDF to Sedona Docs, all done. So now that document is stored within SedonaOffice as well, in the Sedona Docs database at the customer level. If I click on it, I could get back into my details. If I click on certificate, this will actually print for me my signing certificate. So this is that digital certificate that I talked about that captures all the information so that if you ever had to go into court to prove that this is the customer that signed it, you have that signing certificate. Okay. As well as I have my history, which just shows me that everything was done, right down to even the document push, you know, when we sent it over to Sedona Docs. Okay. So that is the history, the flow of, you just saw how easy it was for me to create a document, a template, even though it didn't look so pretty, and deliver it to a customer and get them to sign it. Let me show you another form here. This form is, I'm going to do the auto payment form for SedonaOffice. So I created this form and I uploaded it before. Again, it's SedonaOffice integration. It's a customer form. I'm going to click on the design mode. And this is a form that I created, which is just a recurring payment authorization form. So I haven't fully completed it, but you can see I have a lot of data within here. But this is to give a customer to sign a form so that they can actually do it. This form, again, is also linked to a customer. So I have the customer name here. I have the customer address, city, state, and zip that I'm printing right here. I have phone number. Now you'll notice this phone number field, it's actually coming from SedonaOffice, but what I did is I also made it editable by the recipient, meaning if the customer got it and wanted to change their phone number, they can do that. Same thing with the email address and authorized by. Now, what I can also do is here I created fields, and you can add your own fields to a document. So whether they're filling it out by checking or savings account or by credit card, I could create manual fields here. So I already created these ones for the ACH bank name, the bank name, routing, account number, routing number. I've also added check boxes. So depending if they're paying by Visa, MasterCard, or American Express, and that's over here on my available tools. I can add check boxes. But I need to add 2 more fields to this document. I need to add the credit card account number and the expiration date. So let's go ahead and do that. And what I'll do is I'll add the account number field first. So I'm going to click add a field. And I'm just going to call this the field name cannot have spaces. So I'm going to say credit card number. And this is the display field, credit card number. And then what's the text of this? It's just the number field. We do not have today formatting for the data field, but that is actually going to be released relatively soon. So what you could do is you'll be able to mask it and create like data entry masks. So for a credit card number, you could say it has to be either 15 or 16 characters, depending on if it's a American Express or Visa or MasterCard. So I clicked save. So I created that credit card number. And now I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to drag it wherever I want that data entry field to be on my form. I can also format that text. So I'm going to make it bold and I want to make it size 14. Okay. I could also change the back of the color of the font and so on. Now here I could say who can edit this form. So I could say the sender, that would be me sending it. And I could say, is it required for me to send? Yes or no? No, I don't have to. But I can also say the recipient, and is it required? I'm not going to say yes because they could sign up for either credit card or bank account. So it's not necessarily required that they do send it. Now, I'll add 1 more field to this form and then we'll be done. And that's my expiration date. And so I'll put expiration date in here. And I could make this a date field, or I could make it a text field because maybe I want the format to be, and I'll show you what I mean by this in a second. I could say, where's that expiration date? I'll just drop that right here. And again, I'll use my same formatting, bold 14, and can edit, sender, or the recipient. But maybe I want to put a little text in here. So I'm going to add a little text box right over here to the right. And I'm going to make it a little smaller. And what I could do in here, I'm going to edit this and just put in here like an MM/YY. So, and let's just make that red. Okay. So that's just going to print there so they'll know the format for that. I've already added a signature box and a date box to this. So you can see now I have my form already created. So let's just click save here now and go back to our forms. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add a, let's send that template. And again, I'll just say it's to Michael and it's a, EFT form. And I could just type it in or I could search for it. And again, I pick my customer that I want to pick, Michael Marks, and I click save. So now it came in and it gave me the form. There it is. Michael Marks automatically came in there. This time I have my unassigned fields. I have a lot more to do it. So I'm going to click Michael Marks and I'm going to say assign all. So just assigned every field that Michael Marks can fill out. But what I can also do is I could come over here and say, these are my required fields. Oh, this is something I took off the form, but it's just legacy. There was a pull down for the credit card type. And these are the ones that are not required. So I could start manually entering in the data in here. So if I know this was authorized by Michael Marks, I could actually fill in the field. And if Michael said that he would rather use a bank account and I was on the phone with him, I could start putting in here the information. So the ACH name is the name on the account, Michael Marks. You know, his bank account number. I don't need expiration date, but the bank routing number, I could put that in here, and the bank name, you know. So I could pre-fill out some of the data. So at this point, if that's done like that, I could click Save, Close, and I'm all ready now to send this to the customer. So I'm going to click Send. Michael would get the email, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a shortcut, and I'm just going to click Sign to sign it myself. I'll agree to it, and I get the form. And you'll notice the form is already pre-populated with a lot of the data fields that came in there already. Now, if for some reason I didn't want to utilize the checking account, I could start coming over here and put data right in here as well. Okay? But if I was going to use the credit card, the checking account, and this is the data I want, and I look at it, they made a mistake in the routing number. That was the correct routing number. I can change it. All I have to do is click to sign it, and there's my signature, and I'll give it a date that I signed it. And you know, because it's a date control. It puts it in there, and now all I have to do is click accept, and it created and it finalized that recurring payment form. Okay, the payment form was sent to the customer, and it's saved within the application. So if I come back over here, go to my home page, you can see now I have that completed credit card form, which is right here. And if I click on the view it, there's my completed form. And you'll notice I have the credit card because I don't have the bank account because I didn't use the credit card. So you can make a form that's just for ACH. You can make a form that's just for credit card that somebody can do. Let me see, there's a few questions that came in here. CVC code, how come I don't, well, you could just add a CVC code to your form. If it's a recurring payment, you're not supposed to, you don't capture the CVC code. CVC code is only used for a one-time payment. Are the forms PCI compliant? Great question. Technically speaking, when you capture credit card data on a form like this, it is technically not PCI compliant. You are technically not allowed to do that under PCI rules. Now, obviously, there's no such thing as the PCI police, but you're really, anytime somebody sends you something like that, technically that falls outside the PCI spectrum. One of the things we are adding to this application, and we should have it done in the next month or two, for capturing credit cards, instead of capturing a payment form like this, we will have the ability to have a credit card or a e-check, ACH check data entry form that the user would click on that, they'd enter their data, and that would actually create the token real time with Forte and save the token into the form. That is technically fully PCI compliant. But technically doing this like I just did right here, while almost every company allows forms to go back and forth, whether it's through fax or some other means, technically this wouldn't be PCI compliant. Okay. Is there the ability to have conditional fields? The answer to that is currently no, but that is on our development schedule. We will actually have intelligent fields. Intelligent fields will be things such as a client or a customer could actually, or who's ever filling it out, can choose an option, choose option A or B. So let's say you go back to the form we were just on, they would say, do I want to sign up for credit card or ACH? And if they chose credit card, then the credit card field would become active, and they'd have to fill those out. Likewise, if they chose the bank account, they'd have to do those. The other thing we're doing with the intelligent field settings is the ability to do mathematical calculations. So let's take a contract where you turn around and you have 4 services: base monitoring, opening and closings, alarm.com, and inspections. As the client checks off the different service, it would actually change the different values that are assigned to those. And it could actually change, like, the different things. So those are things that will be coming down the road to make the documents more intelligent. But right now, those things don't exist, but they are coming. Another question that's here: can you make the field assignment part of the template? Great question. The answer is that's coming too. And what that really means is when you actually send a template, when you create the field, you will be able to predefine which stage and that field belongs to. So it would automatically assign it, so you don't have to do that manually. And then here's one other question. And sorry, my eyes, my other screen's real small. Let me get my reading glasses on. You said the price was $25 per month per user. Does that mean we get charged for every user, or only the users who will be working with eForms? It's the latter. Only users who have an eForm login will be charged with that. So if you have 25 SedonaOffice users, but you only set up 3 users to have access to eForms, only those 3 users would be charged the $25 per month. And you'll set that up yourself underneath the setup over here. This is where you set up your users. So I come over here, I could create a user. And so if I came in here and I click on Michael Marks, this is where I just create this user. And this is where you would give them access to whichever applications you have turned on for yourself. If you only have eForms active, you would only see eForms. Okay, where Michael has access to all 3 applications. Okay. Can I send to 1,000 customers pulled from a list, or does this need to be one by one? Right now, today, it has to be one by one. We are working on utilities within SedonaOffice to be able to do bulk and automatic delivery of agreements. So contract renewals, eForm signatures, and different things. So that is a feature. You're not the first to ask that. It's a great feature. It's a very powerful feature, but that is something that's coming down the road as well. Can these forms pre-populate based on a client? I'm not sure I understand this question. I'm not sure about that one. I'll have to think about that. Can these create automatic process updates when they are signed, such as populate within Sedona and automatically start a task, such as ACH billing? Oh, I see what you mean. Does the data move back into SedonaOffice? Some of the data does. So the map data can move back in and automatically update. In terms of automatically starting someone for auto pay, currently it does not, but that's what that new process is, where we're going to have the credit card and ACH form set up. So just kind of similar how Sedona Web works, where somebody can do that. You can actually send them the form, and then they could actually fill it out, and then it would automatically sign them up for auto pay. So that's that feature that we're working on right now to do that. Okay, how are we doing on time? So we have just a few more minutes. So if you have any last questions, please ask those. Let me see. There's also the ability within here to do what's called a single-use form. A single-use form is a one-time form. Typically, if you're going to use the one-time form, I suggest you only use the PDF mode. Don't use the designer mode, because then you'll create a design template and you'll only be able to use it one time. So, but if you create a PDF, so let's say you create a proposal in Microsoft Word and then you want to send it to a customer, you don't have to create a template. All you have to do is create do it one time, select the PDF, and then you could design the form and send it out to the customer. So that's what a one-time form is. The other thing you could do in your templates, you can create what's called a package. A package is multiple templates that would go as a package. So when you send out a form to a customer, you could actually send multiple documents at once. A package is just a predefined list of those. So if you had, like, for example, the residential contract and a 3-day cancellation notice, you might send that together as one package, because the customer needs to sign the 3-day notice when they sign the contract. So you could do that as well. But you can also, when you're sending a template, for example, when I choose the file to send, oops, I don't want to add a template, send a template. You can choose multiple documents at once. So if I wanted to add multiple documents, you could just come in here and add as many as you want to that list. Okay. So there's a couple more questions, and then we'll. And while I answer these other questions, I'm just going to put one more question up here on the poll. Would you like us to contact you and get you going on this? Again, remember, we'll turn it on. You can use it for 30 days as a trial. So just let us know if you want us to contact you now, later, or maybe no. So here's 2 more questions that just came in. On the form sent to the client when they sign and choose a date, would they be able to choose whatever date they want, or would only give them the option to choose today's date? Great question. So if you use the date picker, they could choose any date. There's also, I didn't show it to you, but when you actually create a document, and let me just pull one up here real quick here, this auto pay form. When you have a signature box, there are additional fields that are on that signature box. There's a timestamp, the IP address, and the name. So you can use those automatically. So for example, when they sign it, we're automatically capturing their name. So I could put the name in there automatically. I can also put the timestamp. So if I wanted to capture a date, I don't necessarily have to have them date it. The timestamp will capture the date and automatically date the form. So that way you don't have to use a date field for them to select. And that's typically how most electronic contracts work, is the date is automatically superimposed based upon the signature. So when the date it's signed is the date of the agreement. Does this replace the need to use such services as eOriginal or eSign? I surely hope it does. That's our goal. We would like you to use our product over these other ones. For those who use WeSuite, we are working with WeSuite so that the WeSuite can drive the finished documents directly into eForms for signature. But yeah, we would rather you use our eForms than these other products that you use. So that would be correct. Okay. Well, that's all I have. I want to, oh, wait, I didn't launch the poll. There we go. Now you can launch the poll, answer the poll. If you would like us to contact you, just please let us know, and we will get a hold of you. I want to thank everyone for watching the presentation today. And again, remember, it will be recorded, and watch the notice for the additional webinars that are coming soon. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.